Well, well. Good evening, everybody. Um, my name is Andy Hughes. Welcome to the first of the Songbirds sessions, UK. And this fellow beside me is um, um, he's not there. So who should be beside me is my good friend Sam Schemmel. Um, But as is the way with all these things, in setting up the show, we've done sound checks with both Tennessee Twin and Bob Galley, and we had really good sound, and it all worked lovely. And then Bob's connected up today, and he's been out and bought himself a 30-foot Ethernet cable to be able to connect himself down in his shed at the base of his garden. And he switched it on and joined the session. And for some reason, he's getting some weird kind of background noise. So Sam, who should be sat here, is crazily working away with Bob on the phone to try and get his noise sorted out, so that we can get him back in and back on the show. So it's all live. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And all these kind of streaming things are still relatively quite new. But we're going to carry on, and fingers crossed, it'll all go well. I know that Tennessee Twin are waiting in the sidelines, so we'll get them on in a moment. But I just want to say welcome and thank you to those tuning in. This is the first of our shows, and hopefully the first of many. For those people who didn't see the video that Sam and I put out about the show, a little bit of background kind of explanation is it's about songwriters. It's about songwriters, songwriting, telling stories through songs. It's around country music, folk music, kind of bluegrass and roots music. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and feature songwriters and find out about their inspiration, the things that cause them to start writing, where they take their influences from, who inspires them, whether it's places. We'll learn about their songwriting processes and things like that as well. And in between all that kind of lovely chit chat, we should also get them to play some of their songs, and introduce the songs and talk through the background story to the song and those sorts of things. So we've got a couple of hours, and I kind of think we've got way more than enough time. But as with all these things, I suspect it will go quicker than I expected. So we'll start off. I'm going to start off by doing a quick song just as a kind of intro. So this will be an original tune of mine. And then we shall bring in Tennessee 2. And if we can, we'll bring Bob in at the same time. If not, we'll bring Bob in as soon as we can get his sound sorted. So I shall do a song for you. And this song is... I was going to do this one's called Hallelujah Mr. King, and the story behind this song is about a year ago, no, it was about 2 years ago. I went to Dallas, Texas, and on the way back we flew into Atlanta. The plan was to change planes and then fly home, but the plane we were getting on was broken. So what we did was they put us up in an airport in a hotel overnight, and then the next morning at about, I think, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, we had to head back to the airport. So I thought, I've never been to Atlanta, so I can't miss an opportunity to at least see something. So I said, where can I go in about 2 hours to be able to see something? And they said, well, Martin Luther King Memorial, that's probably the top place. So we jumped in a taxi, crack of dawn, straight across town, and I ended up at the Martin Luther King Memorial, which, is bonkers, because in the UK, if you were going to that sort of thing, there would be about a 4-mile driveway. There would be about a half a mile queue. You'd pay about £50 and you'd get in there all for about 5 minutes, and then you'd be out the door and back out again. And so when we turned up, the guy said, there you go. And he just put us out on the side of the street. And there in front of us was the Martin Luther King tomb of him and his wife. And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. We were within throwing distance. So we kind of looked around and had a wander around and took in all the kind of the mood and the vibe that was going on in the place. And as I walked up towards the museum area, I could hear somebody singing. And as I looked up the kind of walkway, there was a guy on an upright piano, and this guy must have been about 70 years old, and he was playing this upright piano, and stood next to him there was a young lad who couldn't have been any more than about 16, and he was singing, but it was almost like he was crying out in prayer and thanks, and he was singing, "Thank you, Mr. King, thank you, Mr. King, hallelujah." And it was so moving to stand there. I almost felt like I was imposing on somebody's prayer time. But then, being a songwriter, when I came home, it touched me so much, I thought, I've got to write a song about it. So I wrote this song, and it's called Hallelujah, Mr. King. So we'll do this, and then hopefully, by the powers that be, we'll have Bob and Tennessee 2 in the studio ready to sing some songs. I'm just going to switch the reverb on. I always forget to switch the reverb on. It was 6 o'clock in Dallas, and a sky bus made a 10. I was heading back to England the same way I came in, changing in Atlanta to catch a red-eye flight. When the captain spoke, said the plane was broken, we'd have to stay the night. In the early hours of morning, with nothing else to do, I sat and watched the shadows dance for at least an hour or two. Had a little time to kill to take in one last thing. It was 7 miles and $15 to Martin Luther King. As we pulled up on the sidewalk, bathed in golden light, was a monument they laid to him, stood quiet like a knight. An old man played piano, and a young man sang along, and I felt the pride that echoed as he cried his gospel song. He sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah." He sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah," once again. Everything I am, I owe it to you. And he sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah, Mr. King." As I walked on up the street to the house that held his youth, no guarded gate, no fence around, I was shocked to tell the truth. Just 20 feet of pathway lay before me on the floor, and I walked on up to Martin's house and I knocked upon his door. I'm not sure what I expected, but the silence was reward. So I knocked again, but he wasn't in, he was busy with the Lord. He sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah." He sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah," once again. Everything I am, I owe it to you. And he sang, "Oh Lord, hallelujah, Mr. King." So I went on round the backyard to the place where he would play. This youthful boy, unaware of the part that he would play. And I heard, "Oh Lord, hallelujah." I heard, "Oh Lord, hallelujah," once again. Everything I am, I owe it to you. And I heard, "Oh Lord, hallelujah, Mr. King." I heard, "Oh Lord, hallelujah." King. I heard, oh Lord, hallelujah, Mr. King. Let me turn the reverb off. There we go. So, Hallelujah, Mr. King. A song that took me probably a good year to write. And I went round the sort of houses trying to think, how do I write it so that I am courteous to the experience I had, but also I capture the story as I kind of went through it. And therein lies the challenge, being able to capture a story and a song for people so that you can take them on the journey and help them understand the point and the purpose of the journey and the song, all in a way whilst putting it to a good melody. So hopefully over the course of the next bunch of shows, we'll introduce you to some people. You might have heard of some of these people, you might not have heard of some of these people, but we'll introduce you hopefully to their songs, their style of writing, and also the difference between the ways in which people write songs. And part of our hope is that we will also get people who have got an interest in writing songs or have tried writing songs but think they can't do it very well, will hopefully, through the experiences of some of our guests, be able to show you some new ways to think about it, to get new inspiration and things like that. So without further ado, I'm going to... Sam is probably busy helping Bob and getting Bob sorted. I've not had the nod yet that it's okay. So what I'll do is we'll bring Tennessee 2 in. Tennessee 2, Johnny Cash's Tennessee Twin. That's terrible. We'll bring Tennessee Twin in and we'll start just kind of finding out a little bit about them first, and then we'll get them to play a couple of songs, and then we'll chat some more and we'll find out about their kind of writing process and things like that. So be very excited, be very excited. So let me just press the button. I feel very powerful kind of doing this. Boom.
Hey.
Well, hello.
And in fact, let me get rid of this background picture. There we go. Hello, wave to our viewers.
Hi, nice to see everybody.
All the way from sunny Cambridge, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Really sunny.
It is. It was 30 odd degrees today in the car, so yeah, very sunny indeed. A nice British summer.
Do you know what? It's crazy. We hate it when it's too hot. We hate it when it's too cold. We're never really happy, are we?
No.
I've kind of been melting in every single room in the house.
Yeah.
It is, and where we are right now, our studio is right in the centre of the house. It's surrounded by rooms in every direction, so it's always the warmest.
It's good in the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there natural light coming in?
There is natural light. There's a conservatory on one side, so
I was going to say. Otherwise, that would be a room to write depressing stuff, wouldn't it? I used to work in a place where there was no natural light.
Yes.
There was no windows. It was just those yellow, silly lights from up the top. You'd go in the dark in winter, and you'd come out in the dark. Very miserable place.
Yeah,
I should write a song about that.
I've worked in somewhere very, very similar to that actually, and it is horrible. You force yourself out at lunchtime to try and, even if it's to walk around the block, just to see some actual daylight.
Yeah. Just to see whether you're actually in daytime or nighttime still. Yeah. So tell our listeners, our watchers, a little bit about you, kind of where you come from. Obviously, I've just let that out of the bag in terms of Cambridge, but a little bit of background so that they can understand a bit about your kind of musical journey. Not too much, because obviously we want to talk later on about your songwriting process and things like that. But just let them know who you are and what you kind of get involved in.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Well, we've known each other for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
But we sort of met back on working the function scene, as we all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been into country music, and you've had it an influence in your life with it as well. So I'd always planned to do something in that genre at some point, but I hadn't found the right person to do it with.
Okay.
But then I remember Jeff. I thought, okay.
Hello.
So we did start off putting together a 7-piece tribute to the Nashville TV show called Highway 65, which was a lot of fun.
I meant to say to you actually, because I saw something. I think it was on Facebook. I was looking at kind of profiles connecting up, and I saw something that said Nashville tribute thing under your. So obviously you sing for Tennessee Twin, and there's something else also. And I thought, what's that about? What's that about?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, so that's you going out as a bigger band and covering the songs of the show, things like that. Do you still do that?
We haven't for about a year or so now, have
Maybe
we?
even
Really?
longer,
So
actually,
once the show
Okay.
got cancelled, just sort of we felt it probably wasn't the best thing to keep on doing. So it trickled on for a little while, but during the sort of 4 years that we were doing that, we'd started to do Tennessee Twin, and we'd realised that's what we wanted to get our attention into and our time.
Well, the idea was originally to obviously so not many venues and events can have a 7-piece band, and that music, the arrangements of that music were quite widespread in its instrumentation, so you needed that to get the big sound. So we thought, well, let's go completely the other way. There's a lot of venues that like acoustic music. How about we do an acoustic version of that? We sort of put a few of those together and got a number of bookings through doing that. And then, of course, as we're doing this, we're both inspired by this type of music, and we've both written music plenty of times before in lots of different avenues. So we just naturally thought, why not let's start actually putting some country music together? And we thought about that for way too long before doing anything.
As you do.
As you do, and then
Always the way.
yeah, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And then we spotted a competition that was being run by the City of Nashville and British Airways. They're launching a direct flight from Heathrow to Nashville. It was the first direct Nashville to Europe, anywhere in Europe flight. And they were looking for British songwriters to write a song to kind of celebrate the beginning of it. And we had no aspirations of winning this. We just thought, well, it had a closing date, and that was kind of the important thing. It meant we had to sit down and write something.
Can we get
send
it done
off.
in time?
Exactly that.
We got it finished the day before the deadline.
Yeah, it literally went in about 11:59 in the evening. You know,
But that's the
for
point of a deadline, right? You got up till that time.
Exactly.
It's not a
focuses
target.
the brain.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we sent that in, and that was us started on a songwriting journey. And a couple of months later, we found out we'd actually won that competition, and that we got a call saying congratulations, you've won. There was some celebrity judges, people like Kit Moore and Brett James, who were the judges on it, and they said, look, you know, the prizes come across to Nashville for a week for the CMA Fest, and so that that was the beginning of the Tennessee Twin journey.
So that was last year that you went across.
It's 2 years
2 years ago, 2018. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were there last year, though, weren't you?
Yes, we went back with James Finch from Live in the Living Room. He took us over there, and we did a mini tour for about 8 days. And I did 4 performances while we were there, and a TV interview and
various other things. Yeah, great fun. And we got to play, ironically, some of the venues that
feature
were actually in the National TV show. So it was a bit of serendipity there, really.
So you were there. I think you were there either the week before I was there, or 2 weeks before I was there.
Right.
Because I was seeing all the pictures from. Because I don't think we were connected up at the time, but I was seeing pictures from James. Because I've done something before for James.
Yeah.
So I was seeing all that, and I was thinking, that's pretty awesome. They're showing me all the places to go when I get there as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we're slowly getting used to the city. There's two very different sides to the city. I don't know if you found this, but there is the proper songwriter music city kind of side still there, but that kind of has.
You have to go out a little bit.
It's moved out, say a mile or two out of the city, and the very centre of the city, Broadway and such, is very much party town. Obviously, there's still a lot of live music there.
I'd call it, it's almost like Disneyland, really, isn't it? You walk onto Broadway, and all of a sudden you've got all these honky-tonks, you've got all the neon lights, different music from every bar, masses of people, all kind of going, yeah, play me some country music. I don't know what I want to hear, but just play me some country music.
Well, it's funny because a bass player friend of ours who lived and worked out there as a session player for some years now calls it Nash Vegas, which I think is you know, the centre of the town. You know, we were in Ernest Tubbs' record store where people like Patsy Cline and you know,
It's like a little safe haven in there, isn't
Yeah.
it? Away from the madness.
that's still got a hint of that kind of old school down there on Broadway. But
I've got a picture of that guitar that's hanging up in that shop with all the signatures over it. I've got it on my study wall.
Right.
Fantastic.
Some of my favourite places to go now.
It is, yeah, very much. And and I managed to pick up. I've been looking for a copy of a film called Sweet Dreams, which is a biography of Patsy Cline that starred Ed Harris and Jessica Lange as Patsy Cline. And I'd seen it years and years and years ago and never found another copy of it. And I was telling Victoria about it. Finally found a copy in that record store. So that was.
If you can't find it there, where are you going to find it?
Exactly.
I mean, it's some of the one of the things I looked at was all the murals that they paint on the wall. You know the one with the red and white stripes for Believe in Nashville.
Yeah.
There's loads of these things dotted around the city, but they're all in really bizarre places.
Yeah, it's kind of like a challenge to go and find them all, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah, it
and
is.
they're on the back of things like hardware stores and stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy who was showing me around went, I never knew this was here. And he's lived there most of his life. That's bizarre.
It seems to be a city that's changing quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of development. When we went back last year, after not having been for about 18 months, there were buildings that just simply didn't exist. 18 months prior.
Well, East Nashville now, I guess, is the new kind of modern upcoming part of Nashville, where you're getting a lot of the probably less country acts and more kind of where Austin is a mix of everything. You're getting more of that infiltrating into that kind of Eastern Nashville sort of area as well.
Yeah, it's quite hip and trendy, isn't it, over in East Nashville?
Yeah, places like 5 Points and those kind of areas as well. There's stuff growing up in those places, I think, whereas maybe some of the more traditional and industry types have kind of moved out of the city on purpose. You know, they're finding space in those kind of places. We played a place called the Belcourt Taps, which is a little bar.
I played there.
Yeah, just you know exactly.
Great place, isn't it?
Fantastic place. Yeah,
fantastic little. It's like you're walking into someone's house, really, isn't it? And the fireplace at one end and the little straight bar at the back.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and James, bless him, had put on a day for meningitis research, and I don't know how many rounds there were. I think.
About 8, I think.
Yeah, 8 rounds, four artists each, and there was only a few of us from the UK. Most of them were locals, so we had a wonderful time there, didn't we?
Okay, well, look, we'll do lots more chatting. Just because what I also want to do is I'm very curious, and hopefully people listening are as well, about the kind of process you go through with writing, where you get your inspiration from, do you go to certain places, or do you just hang around the house, all this kind of stuff. If they're not interested, I definitely am. We'll also take some comments as well, so we'll look at some of these as you kind of sing. And the reason I'm stretching like this is because I've got the laptop far enough away from me so that we can get Sam and I both in together. So Sam will be doing this in his own house. But we thought first show we'll do it together. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Obviously everything. But we'll get it figured out. I'm not so worried about that. We'll sort it out. So first of all, play a couple of songs for us if you don't mind. Obviously that's why you're here. So tell us about the songs you're going to do, and just give us a bit of a background to how they were written, what they were about, those sorts of things, and then the floor's yours. Play away.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to introduce this first one?
I'll duck out for this, by the way. So I'll let you have the whole screen, so you're nice and big on people's tablets or whatever.
Sorry, people.
And then I'll duck out, and then I'll come back in when you've kind of done it. So do 2 in a row.
Sure.
Tell us about them, and then I'll come back in.
Okay.
No problem at all.
Enjoy, people. Enjoy.
Okay, so I think we're going to start with a song called Two Heart Rendezvous, which we wrote just before we went to Nashville last November. And the song came out the week we got back. Yeah. So this was released just before Christmas. There's a song from the Nashville TV show we used to do that is sung by Scarlett and Gunnar. And they sing in harmony all the way through, and it's very fast and very wordy, and we really enjoy singing that. It's called Plenty Far to Fall. So we thought we would try and write a song similar to that, where It's a lot of words. So we have to remember. We didn't think this through really. It's a lot of words to remember, which we just about managed to remember a year on.
Yeah, I think so.
and we sing together all the way through, because we often will take a verse each and just come together in the choruses. But we decided we wanted a song where we sang together right from the very beginning. So.
And the theme of this song was really about missed opportunities. You know, it was there were plenty of people, ourselves included, that met a long time prior, but didn't actually get together as a couple until much later. And contrasting that with some friends of ours who got together as teenagers and are now retired and have been together all of that time, and are really thinking, you know, a kind of a story of hope. I think that you know, the missed opportunities sometimes come back, and there's a second opportunity, and if you get that, and then you should probably take full advantage of it.
Yes.
So yeah, this is called Two Heart Rendezvous.
Standing at the edge of the school hall, trying to take the first step, trying not to trip and fall. Hoping that you say yes and dance with me, kiss me to a slow song, hoping like it's meant to be. Cause if we can find the courage with this thing, maybe next they'll make a promise with a ring. Give me wings and make me fly, make me bold enough to try. In this crowded room, make it just me and you. Give me hope and make me smile, make our eyes and hearts collide. Please make this the ground on which our love does groove. Let's plot a course for a two-heart rendezvous. Walking by the school like I often do, thinking of the old days, wondering what became of you. Suddenly there's someone bumping into me, there's a face that I knew, smiling right on back at me. Where did you go all these years that flew on by? Is there one more chance to take for you and I? Give me wings and make me fly, make me bold enough to try. In this crowded room, make it just me and you. Give me hope and make me smile, make our eyes and hearts collide. Please make this the ground on which our love does groove. Let's plot a course for a two-heart rendezvous. We've spent too long pretending it was wrong. We'll have that chance to take our second chance. Give me wings and make me fly, make me bold enough to try. In this crowded room, make it just me and you. Give me hope and make me smile, make our eyes and hearts collide. Please make this the ground on which our love does groove. And let history show that our love was true. Let's plot a course for a two-heart rendezvous. Rendezvous, rendezvous.
So Andy's not the only one with technical issues. I forgot to plug my guitar
Yeah,
in
I
for that
saw
one.
that just before we played, and then I forgot to remind you. 'Cause we've done that before.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Oh,
So should we do this one, or should we do Born for the Road?
but
We'll do this one?
just do this one, shall we?
Okay. So
Throw
this one
ourselves
is
in the deep end.
this one is a pretty new song actually.
Yes.
One of the things we've been doing is a series on a Sunday afternoon called the Songs and Stories Collective, and this is ourselves and two other artists, Donna Marie and Sarah Yo, both of which we absolutely adore. And at the beginning of lockdown, we sort of talked to them over Twitter, I think it was, and we sort of
Yes.
probably in a drunken moment said, oh, why don't we just do a show together, and we'll do like one original song and one cover each. and we can talk about, you know, how we came about those songs and so on and so forth. And we have to have say a massive thank you to DC Brown, who I know is watching tonight as well, because he did all the tech for us for that series as well. And the idea originally was to do 3 or 4 shows, and we ended up doing 14 before finally saying, okay, we could probably do with a Sunday or 2 off. So that's what we're doing at the moment. But it also led us to 2 things really. We had to collaborate on some remote recording. We've just in the process of releasing a version of Humble and Kind. You can find it on the Songs and Stories Collective YouTube channel. There is a video, an accompanying video of all of us playing remotely. But it also led us to write a bunch of new songs, because as we got into it, we decided to have a theme each week. And that gave us a big challenge in terms of finding a suitable cover, and an even bigger challenge finding an original song.
Yes. But then after a while, we decided that became quite fun.
Yeah.
So even if we did have a song that might have fit, we decided we would write a new song each week for the theme anyway, just for the challenge of it, which got stressful some weeks.
It did. We started every week thinking we'll sit down Monday night and we'll get the bones of it done, and then we'll finish it off during the week. And I think our record was with one of the songs starting it at 11:30 on the Sunday morning and singing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon live. Which, you know, it was a bit of a challenge, and it wasn't because we hadn't been bothered. It's just because we'd written a lot of stuff and decided not to use it.
Yeah, we changed it. I think that song went through 3 different metamorphoses.
It did, indeed. And we might go back to some of the other ones.
You
just never know. So the reason for talking about that is this song came out of that, and the theme for the week was weather. And clearly we weren't going to rewrite, you know, stormy weather or anything like that. Raining Men, yeah, definitely not. So we started thinking about that theme through the week, and the inevitable conclusion was that, you know, the changing in weather was very much the kind of changes you have to sort of work around when you're a couple, when you're in a relationship, and you know, there'll be good days and bad days, and that's the kind of theme we started with. And we thought mostly about what that's like to think about at the beginning of a relationship, because at the beginning you tend to think everything is going to be sweetness and light. But as you get older, you know that in truth it's not that way. It's going to be ups and downs and sideways.
Sound so old and pessimistic.
So that's where we came from in this song. This is called Perfect Shade of Blue. You said you were stuck in your ways, too old to kick back and ride the waves. I thought I would never be enough. You needed a guide built from stronger stuff.
I felt the moment our gaze met. I knew that my heart was in your debt. Then I took your hand and you were mine. From then on our futures were entwined. There'll be sunshine, there'll be rain, hazy days and hurricanes, but we'll ride out the storm, we'll be true. Through the wind and through the snow, we'll hold on and won't let go, waiting for a calm morning dew and a sky that's the perfect shade of blue. How long we both wrestled with the truth, talking through the night, just me and you. Morning came and sun shone as a sign. That night I was yours and you were mine. There'll be sunshine, there'll be rain, hazy days and hurricanes. We'll ride out the storm and we'll be true. Through the wind and through the snow, we'll hold on and won't let go. Waiting for a calm morning dew and a sky that's the perfect shade of blue. Looking back on how it began, it's easy to tell now that we can. The dice we rolled, the game we won. Now days go by with us as one. There'll be sunshine, there'll be rain, hazy days and hurricanes. But we'll ride out the storm and we'll be true. Through the wind and through the snow, we'll hold on and won't let go. Waiting for a calm morning dew and a sky that's the perfect shade of blue. And a sky that's the perfect shade of blue.
Oh wow, thank you.
Do you know, I almost wasn't. Let me take these off. I almost wasn't going to come back on then, and I would just kind of leave you there in kind of wilderness and going, is he coming back on?
It wouldn't be the first time.
Brilliant. So I listened to that Shade of Blue song earlier. I kept meaning to say, if it looks like they're not going to play it, I'm going to ask for it. So we've got it done nice early. So it looks like it's just you and us. So this fella here now, Sam Schemmel.
Hi, everybody.
Bless him. He's working like crazy to try and sort Bob's sound out. But unfortunately, we can't figure out why Bob's got this new. It sounds like it's almost like a fan, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just sounds like fun, yeah.
So what we've done is we've said to him, if we can't get it sorted for whatever reason, we might do a show in a couple of weeks, and then kind of get him on and give it a chance. Because he's lovely, absolutely brilliant. So I don't want to miss the opportunity because it'll dent his confidence in technical things otherwise as well. So what we'll do is we'll just get, because people are saying I've got an echo, so just very quickly, can you hear an echo on me now?
No.
We can't. I have to say, we haven't.
Tell Twin can't hear an echo.
No.
And you can't hear
other
what
people can. So let me just check comments. So please do tell me if I'm still echoing. Because if I am, what we're going to do is a very quick sound check with Sam. Sam's going to sing a song. So he's straight in here, and he's already going to sing. I wasn't aware he was going to sing a song, but he is.
give it a go.
He's going to sing an original song that he's written. He'll introduce, talk about it, and then you play it. We'll see if you get an echo.
He's gonna disappear and have a little check. So basically, yes, we can. Yes, we can. So can you people put on there? Is that on both of us or just Andy? Right. So this is gonna be really weird. I've got like delay and everything.
Okay. So let's make a call. I don't know why it's suddenly gone echoing. It wasn't when we switched it on.
We will mute us.
So I think what we might do is we might shut the session, restart the session, and see if that clears it. Because our settings aren't any different to how we did it earlier. And Tennessee Twin can't hear an echo. So it's obviously something that's going through into Facebook or whatever it is. So I think what we'll do, give us 5 minutes tops. Jenny's saying it's now gone.
Oh, Jenny's saying it's now gone.
Dodie Munro saying it's
Okay, so it's
okay,
probably, it
okay.
sounds like it must be something to do with us then. I'm going to try something here.
Okay.
Which will not overall improve the audio. It will probably make it slightly worse, but it might get rid of the echo. So we can
It says somebody's put it's when Tennessee have their mic on too.
Right. So I've just turned off the audio processing thing that we've had issues with before, and Danny says it's gone now.
Okay. Cool.
So I think it's that. I think it's the audio processing thing within the program. So
Do you know what? I reckon that's not audio processing enhancements at all. I reckon it's some weird little gimmick that they throw in to say, when one clicks on it and the other doesn't, let's screw the sound up. Then they can click on it again, and we'll,
And someone, Karen has just said yours has gone too, Andy. So and
Marvelous.
Dottie's better since Jeff's
Okay, perfect.
Marvelous.
That's
Okay.
great. Yeah.
So we shall crack on then.
Okay.
And pray that it never comes back. So as I said, this guy. So instead of Bob being here, then what we might do is we might just chip in with a couple of songs here and there. So Sam's got a song. Which one are you going to sing?
I'm going to do That Old Bench. I think that's the song I'm going to.
So introduce the song.
Yeah, right,
talk about the background to it, and fire away.
I wanted to write a song about this old bench. The story behind it is that when I used to be very little, I used to go, God, I feel like I'm old now. Right? But when I was very little, I used to go, when I was upset, to a place called the ER, which is in
hospital.
Yeah, well, it's not in hospital. The actual field was called the ER, and on top of this field was a bench. And I used to go there when I was feeling down, and I started talking to who is now my girlfriend. She should be watching, Jenny, who had the same sort of experience, that she used to go to a bench as well. And I spoke to Andy about it, and I've written words, and I'm just like, let's get this done. Because I'm one of these people that kind of write songs, leave them forever, and then never.
How many
come
years?
Back to them. Yeah, 3 years it took. So, yeah, this is That Old Bench, and it's just a reflection of the old bench that I used to love. Because when I go back there, it's gone. That bench, they've all built houses on it, on the ER now. So it's a bit of a shame, because I trying to find another old bench.
So Bob's just put in the chat, I'm going to go and get drunk now. So Bob, bless you for buying a cable and trying to get it sorted.
Yeah.
We will get it sorted.
Yeah,
Don't worry,
definitely.
and we'll get you on. So sit back and enjoy the music from Tennessee Twin and this fella and me, and we'll sort something out for you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So don't think it's a dead loss. We'll get it working, because you sounded great the other day.
Yeah, the other day was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
So this song's a bit of a dedication now to obviously Jenny. I love you loads. So this one's for you.
Oh.
Winter mornings with a frosty dew, sun's coming up, start of something new. Well, I found a place to rest my eyes, but like the flow of the river, it took away all my ties. That knowing stare you once gave to me now echoes on the wind blowing through the trees. 'Cause that old bench felt like home, like a lost loved one, it come and gone. But now I walk these streets alone, 'cause that old bench felt like home. Well, skies above were dark and grey, got a troubled mind, got things to say. Well, out of time, we both know, as one story ends, the other path must go. But as I wait, still I see that old bench is here in my heart with me. 'Cause that old bench felt like home, like a lost loved one, it come and gone. But now I walk these streets alone, 'cause that old bench felt like home. But as I see rusty footprints where that old bench used to be, 'cause that old bench felt like home, like a lost loved one, it come and gone. But now I walk these streets alone, 'cause that old bench felt like home. 'Cause that old bench felt like home. 'Cause that old bench felt like home.
Yeah.
So something a little bit like that.
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay, if you like that sort of thing.
Well, we don't have wind each other up.
So Sam is one of those who probably writes millions of bits of songs and then takes forever to finish them.
Yeah.
Whereas
I do. I tinker.
Whereas I tend to pop them out like a maternity ward, and then I'll kind of tweak them a little bit, kind of later on. That was probably a bad example, really, wasn't it?
Kind of, mate. It was really bad,
really,
yeah.
I should have thought about that before I said it.
The best thing about Andy is he writes these songs and sends them to me and go, "What do you think, Sam?" I'm like, well, that needs tweaking here and that needs tweaking there, and then it finishes it, doesn't it? So it's beautiful. Beautiful. And I get to pick his song titles. That's what I love. I get to pick his song titles. He's saying no, but I do, because I keep calling them other things, and then he has to change it because everyone else knows it as something else.
You only call it something else because you can't remember what it was called. So I one of the first songs I wrote was called something like "Let Your Story Go" or something.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, "Let's play that Memories Whisper song." So I was going, it's not called Memories Whisper. It
is now.
And then he would say again, "Play that Memories Whisper song." So now it's called Memories Whisper.
He's not allowed to play it without me.
The other day when I was talking about that, I couldn't even remember what it was originally called.
No,
it only just came back to me. But obviously it was fate. It was meant to be like that. So I'm interested then, now that Sam's back in, so I'm interested, obviously. So a little while ago, I ran a songwriters webinar thing, which was supposed to be a 2-hour session, and it ended up being 4 weeks, 5 weeks,
that's right,
something like that. But it was all about kind of how to craft songs, how to find inspiration, how to deal with hitting the creative wall, and things like that. So I'm very interested in understanding how you go about where you get your inspiration from. So first of all, it would be great if you could tell me and the others, where is it? Who are you inspired by? So who started you on your songwriting journey? Was it a famous country singer? Was it somebody else? And then kind of where do you now take that inspiration from? Is it the same people? Is it kind of different things and stuff like that? So just take us on a little bit of that sort of journey. Who inspires you? Where did you kind of get that first real kind of hearing a song going, yes, I want to write songs?
You can start.
And who actually writes the songs? So who writes them and who does the melodies?
Yeah, we'll
okay.
We'll come back to that one.
I definitely have been influenced by country musicians my whole life. I remember as a very small girl discovering Crystal Gale and being completely obsessed with her, and then Glenn Campbell shortly after that, who is still up there. And in my teens, it definitely been Garth Brooks sort of became inspiration, and then Leanne Rimes. I heard her voice when she was about 15, and I was like, okay, that's a whole different type of country singing going on there. And he hates me saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. My influence growing up was always Andrew Lloyd Webber, because I just think the man's a genius. And so, so I was a bit obsessed with his musicals, and Tim Rice and Richard Stilgoe, who he both wrote with a lot. Their lyrics are just phenomenal. So there's a lot of musical theatre, because I like the storytelling that goes on in musical theatre, which of course is very similar to country music and folk music. It's all about telling stories and telling people's truths. So that's my side of it, which is probably very different.
Mine is nothing like that at all.
Yeah, ZZ Top, Meatloaf.
Not quite that bad. Although I did end up writing a musical with a friend of mine some years ago.
He loves
he's a musical director, and I ended up writing the lyrics for it. And the story of Frankenstein and Mary Shelley's version, the early, the original, and we ended up taking it to the Edinburgh Fringe, and with a cast of 30-something people. It was quite mad, really. So I have certainly ventured into that part, but I mean, my early musical influences were the first records I had, which were my parents' records, which were mostly rock and roll and Merseybeat records. And I had an old blue Dansette record player that I used to bash these out on, and early Beatles stuff. I was always more of a fan of the earlier sort of decade of the Beatles, or the earlier half, really. So Please Me, for example, is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I look for inspiration in terms of producing records. I think that's a real a really difficult one for us now to think about, because a whole album, the Beatles' first album, recorded at Abbey Road Studio 2, was done in under 12 hours. And to the thought of doing that now, of going into a studio and coming out with a finished product in under 12 hours is just unthinkable. But they did it, and you listen to it back now, and it's still an inspirational record. I think from a country point of view, my dad used to play a lot of country stuff, particularly the women of country, people like Billy Joe Spears, Tammy Wynette, Dolly, of course, those kind of people. And that was the first kind of recognition of country music for me. But I think there was a moment that I sat down and thought, maybe I'd like to do that. That's kind of what I want to be. It was back in the early 90s, I played in a band, that blues band, and we got a slot at the Cambridge Folk Festival, which ironically we ought to have been playing at this very weekend.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah. We were invited to play there last year and played, and it was absolutely wonderful. They invited us back this year, but obviously that isn't happening. But I happened to be backstage on the main stage with the rest of the band when Nancy Griffiths got up and performed a set solo with just her and her guitar. And her
one of my favorite artists. That is one of my favorite artists.
Just to listen to her, the guitar is about as big as she is. She's a tiny wee thing, and she's got this, quite high pitched voice when she speaks, and you'd never know if you just listen to her records. And she got up, she did Love at the Five and Dime, and she often begins that as she's playing the intro on a guitar by telling the story of when she grew up. She would take the bus from school into Central Austin, Texas, and then back out the other side on a different bus, and had just enough time to nip into the Woolworths store and buy sweetie. And then she said, and then the song is about a couple who worked at the Five and Dime store and fell in love and danced in the aisles after hours and stuff. And it's just one of those brilliant lyrical stories. And that was, I think, the point that I went, that's what I want to do. And it took quite a few years to get even, remotely good enough to play to anybody. But that was
can I just ask, have you and Sam rehearsed this? Because one of his favourite songs, I mean, I love Nancy Griffiths.
She's phenomenal.
But she's been inspired by some other people that I absolutely love, like Townes Van Zandt and people like that.
Yeah.
And John Prine, of course. But one of his favourite songs, and he does quite a lot, is Love at the Five and Dime.
Yeah, I do Love at the Five and Dime.
It's such an amazing song. And there's songs of that period of hers, like Trouble in These Fields and stuff like that really, I think, get to the grips of that farming country kind of story. And there's a record, and I can't think of the name of it now, but I absolutely love it. It's a Chris Stapleton record about him inheriting the farm from his father. It's got a very dark ending to it, because he's sitting there only in a chair late at night with just a shot of whiskey and a pistol, which doesn't leave the song.
I was going to say it's got to have whiskey in there.
Yeah. But it tells that
Right.
same story of that really hard life of, as a farmer. And, we grew up, well, I grew up on the edge of the fens, on the Cambridge edge of the fens. And, many of my friends' parents were farmers. So it kind of reflects.
Can I just be rude and interrupt you a minute?
Of course.
Because Sarah, hi Sarah. Sarah Yo is
oh, hello, Sarah.
And Sam, she's absolutely loving your voice. We've both just been having a little chat saying,
thank you.
Which is quite random, but there was something about your voice. But she was asking for your surname, please, because you've got a new fan, and she wasn't sure what your name was because it's not on the screen.
Yes, so my name is Sam Schemmel, but you can find me on sam.smusic. That's my music page.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you very much.
We have actually, I have made contact with Sarah to ask her if she would do one of these at some point.
Oh, cool.
But so I think as long as, if we're out of lockdown, she's got some contractual thing for every Thursday. I mean, it sounds like she's plays in one of those piano bars or something every Thursday night or something like that. But or maybe she's a doctor in an ER ward or something. But if we can get her on, we certainly will.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be good. I was going to say something then about so when you talk about Nancy Griffiths and you talk about Love at the Five and Dime, and this is part of the reason that we're doing this, is because there are lots of people who write songs, lots and lots. But I guess if you then stuck them in front of some of their heroes and things, it's what they would say about that song, whether they would say it's great or it's good or it needs a bit of work and things like that. And what you often find, and today in the world of being able to record in your bedroom, people are chucking out EPs and singles and all sorts of stuff. And you listen to some of these and you think the concept is there, but somewhere along the line, you've chucked all the good stuff into the first verse. And then afterwards, you've kind of been thinking, I need to come up with another 2 verses or 3 verses. And so you've ended up with these poor repetition kind of things and stuff like that. So one of the things that we were kind of wanting to showcase is people's ability to take people through that journey and that story and use the whole of that platform of the words and the songs. And also to start thinking about things like that creative language. So it's not necessarily what you say, it's what you don't say. And it's how you create detail, but don't tell people the detail, and all those kind of clever things that like Nancy Griffiths in that song has managed to do. She creates a whole mood, a whole vibe, and it's only from the places that she puts the characters in and things like that, so that's one of the things that we're interested in kind of understanding about your songwriting process is when you write a song, how do you go about doing it? Because I've got a process, Sam's got a process, things like that. So we'll come on to that anyway, but that leads us nicely into you doing another couple of songs.
Okay.
So we'll kind of back off the screen a bit and we'll leave you free to kind of do those.
And we can have a regroup. Then I'm back.
Yeah. I can go and bang my head against that same bit of wall I have done for the last 25 years. Right. Okay. Over to you, Tennessee Twin.
Thank you. Well, this song we wrote at the very beginning of this year, and we recently put out as a single. And you were just talking about the ease of recording, and we're fortunate to have a studio here. Audio has been my life, since I was sort of in my early teens. And I think one of the things you can very quickly do is rush in to start recording, and the technology takes over. And for certain genres of music, it's all about the technology, for dance music and so on, that kind of thing. But for this kind of music, I think that the story is the key thing. Yeah. So we don't tend to record anything until we're happy with the song. The most we will do is stick a phone on the table and play through it, mostly so we can remember it the next day. So, because until you've played it through a few times, it doesn't stick in your brain. Even the best songs don't do that. So, So this is a song. Yeah. But did you want to tell the story of this song?
I just remember what song we were going to do. Then it's come back to me. Yeah, this is our latest single. Actually, it was out 3 weeks ago. Lost track of what date we're on now. It was. It's 3 separate stories. and showcasing 3 fictitious people. They're just characters. Most of the time we do write from personal experience, but these are characters we've made up for this. But the backbone of the story is from personal experience, because we're noticing more and more, as everybody does, that especially on social media, people will spout off and say things, and everybody believes them. There's a huge fuss, and then you look past the original story and realize that they weren't telling the whole truth, and sometimes none of the truth, and that often what you see on the surface is not really what's going on, and how you shouldn't always believe what you see or what you're told. You should seek deeper and find the truth.
Yeah, and maybe go and ask the other party sometimes what's gone on.
Yes.
So yeah, this is called Every Story.
Small town girl, everyone adored her. Met a city guy with a smart suit and a chauffeur. She fell for the promise that he made, and now she lives a big town life charade.
Weekend tourist broke the house in Vegas. Every hand he played, his luck was more contagious. He left town with a wallet full of gold. At least that's the story visitors get told. It's like a rainy day on a beach in California. Your first love ends in heartbreak and no one warned you. It's a gospel church without the sound of glory. I'm telling you, there's 2 sides to every story.
10 years old, makes toast for his baby brother. Hangs the washing out for their alcoholic mother.
Missing school for the family he cares for. But the neighbors think he's just the kid next door. It's like a rainy day on a beach in California. Your first love ends in heartbreak and no one warned you. It's a gospel church without the sound of glory. I'm telling you, there's 2 sides to every story. Don't believe the news or every story you are told. Just because it glitters, it ain't gold. It's like a rainy day on a beach in California. Your first love ends in heartbreak and no one warned you. It's a gospel church without the sound of glory. I'm telling you, there's 2 sides to every story. I'm telling you, there's 2 sides to every story.
So there you go. That's Every Story, available in all platforms and downloads and streaming and all of that kind of good stuff. If you can't find it, just go to TennesseeTwin.com and follow the music link, and all of the links to all the Spotify's and the iTunes and that kind of stuff's there. So I think Born for the Road. Should we do that one?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing Born for the Road.
Playing.
You can tell the story of this one
again then. Okay, this is off of our EP we released almost exactly a year ago. Last August we released our EP Tips in a Jar, which we were very fortunate went straight to #1 in the UK country charts. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Very much a surprise.
And this is the first track on the EP. It was only going to be a 4-track EP, and then at the last minute we decided to add a 5th track, and then we decided to go all out and put it first. So yeah, and it's a much longer song on the EP. We've trimmed it down because we've been doing it so much live that it.
Yeah, it's 27 minutes long. No, I'm only joking. It's about 5.5, I think, on the EP.
It's so long since we've done the full version, we can't remember the 3rd verse anymore. But,
No.
So there's only 2 verses of it. But yeah, when when we first got together, Jeff was away on the road, hence the title "Born for the Road," a lot, and I didn't like that very much. So this song kind of inspired that, about how Jeff felt about being away and wanting to be back home, and how I felt about missing him while he was gone. And luckily, our lives have changed somewhat. We don't do that anymore. Now we tend to travel together, so that's good. Mainly to Nashville these days.
Yeah.
So this song was born out of that.
Yeah.
Long is the night when I'm driving alone. It's just me in this car. You're back home with a bottle of wine, a smile that says, come on in.
It's dark outside and pouring with rain, but it's warm in here. You're coming home again, coming back to me, 1 mile at a time. Throw open that door and hold me, and never let me go. We both know it's been way too long. Would you please, please forgive me? I know not what I do, but sometimes I must bear a heavy load.
You know I was born for the road.
As the radio plays, I'm singing along to a tune we danced to in a time long gone. And I feel you now, just like I did then.
When I get home, it's like we were never apart. But when I leave, I know it breaks your heart. So I guess we know something's gotta change.
Throw open that door and hold me, never let me go. We both know it's been way too long. Would you please, please forgive me? I know not what I do, but sometimes I must bear a heavy load.
You know I was born for the road.
I know you were born for the road.
So there you are. That was Born for the Road, and you'll find that.
Sarah says you're both sounding amazing. Thank
Oh,
you.
bless you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you sound totally awesome this end. Absolutely awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sam.
Really love it.
We've had comments as well. In fact, so I was gonna check a few of the comments just to see some of the things that people are kind of saying, because I always forget to do this. I always think nobody's commented and then realise that I haven't scrolled down. So it's that kind of thing. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad. Yeah. John too. Sounds good. And Mark Griffiths. So these are some of the people that we kind of know from our group of kind of open mics and things like that as well.
Yeah.
Jenny sounds really good. Jenny is Sam's new love.
Aha. On the
DC Brown, Danny Coffee Brown. Now there's a fellow who is doing a fantastic job of supporting music streams, country music, all sorts. So he supported you guys as well, isn't he? Doing your sessions.
Yeah, he was really the sort of the glue that holds the songs and stories together. Really, I think if we had to manage all the tech as well, we would have definitely given up after 3 weeks.
He's so calm.
Yeah,
Nothing flutters.
Well, as you can see from our experience, it pays to have somebody who knows what they're doing. No amount of sound checks clearly makes any difference. Yeah.
I think that it's something I don't think I've experienced. There is some of it in the folk scene. We do we're very fortunate in that there's a number of the sort of folk clubs embrace us. But the Cambridge Folk Club very much being one of them. The guys there are just superb. But that scene I think is there's a lot of parallels between the two. But just the country scene, there is quite a number of people working away in the background that aren't artists. You know, they're not promoters per se, but just are there to help people. And Danny is definitely one of those. There's people like Karen Morell who was on earlier. People like James Vince. And I'm going to forget a whole bunch of people. Simon Bird. It's just a whole bunch of people out there. And all the guys that run stations like, countryradio.uk and those guys who, nobody's driving Rolls Royces here, folks. They're all doing it for the love of it. And
can you just check whether anyone's stolen my Rolls Royce out the front? Next to me Lamborghini.
It's still here.
That's good. Right.
I'll take it home later.
Yeah, I mean, all these people as well. A lot of these do it completely voluntarily. So they're not making money at it. They're not doing it to make money. They do it because they love the music. They love helping, things like that. So definitely thumbs up to Danny and Karen and Ian, who helps quietly behind the scenes. I think with his photography as well. Fantastic. Yeah. Michael McMillan's messaged me about coming on as well. Apologies, Michael. I haven't got back to you yet. I will do. It's just I've been inundated. Many more people than I thought. The tumbleweeds were going to roll across the floor and I'd have to literally drag people out. But actually, we've had a really good response. Spooky DeVille. Who on earth is the Spooky DeVille? The Spook DeVille.
Hey.
Spook DeVille.
You're welcome.
DeVille.
That's a pretty cool name for somebody, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool.
The Spook DeVille.
After that, yeah.
Wishing everybody success with the amazing sessions. Bless you. Rog David Kidderminster. Rog David, we love you.
Oh, that is Jenny's dad.
Oh, is it?
That's my new love dad.
That's Sam's new love's dad. Should have known that one, really. That's a cool name. That is a cool name.
Chris,
Karen, let me see. Hopefully she's still on watching. Now the echo's gone. Dodie Munro.
Hi, Dodie.
Yeah, Dodie tunes in, I think, every single Sunday for Songs and
Stories.
He
writes fantastic reviews as well.
Yeah, his Chrome Dome reviews he puts out on a Monday are talk about all of the live streams he's watched in the previous week, and they're just fascinating because a lot of the time we don't get to see them because either we're doing things ourselves or writing or just life, all of that stuff. So it's great to read those.
Yeah.
Well, talking about writing, we're going to ask you, obviously, your writing style in a second. But I think me and Andy, as I say, we've lost Bob, unfortunately, tonight. We will get you back, Bob. Definitely, no worries. But I think with me and Andy, when I heard this song, as we spoke about it earlier, this is Memories Whisper. And I kind of stole this song off Andy, to be honest and truthful. I steal every song off Andy. There's one of his songs at the moment that me and my girlfriend are definitely learning. I'm not allowed to sing it with Andy, apparently. It has to be sung with her. So, yeah, I know.
It's my song.
So me and Andy tried this song once out and about, and I said to him, "We'll do it while we was off screen, and then he can talk about his writing experiences, and then we'll get to talk about your writing experiences, and I'll talk about my writing experiences. I think that's the best way forward. So, are you ready?
As I'll ever be.
Okay, let's do this one. This is, I was going to say my version I love winding him up. So this is Memories Whispers by Andy Hughes.
So let me just check. Is there any echo? Is there any echo? Is there any echo? Is
No,
there any
right,
echo?
okay.
No, just artificial. Right.
Have you got your reverb on?
I was told to turn it off earlier.
Oh, don't listen to them. Like, I always have mine on.
I think it's because I turned it up too far,
Okay.
and I sounded like I was in some sort of cave.
Okay, let's go.
Memories whisper in the back of my mind, hoping I might find answers to questions easily mislaid. Oh, how the memories fade. In my younger years I can much recall, too much good at all. Hard as I wonder who it is to blame, it always seems to be the same. 'Cause you can't hold somebody to account if you refuse to hold yourself. If the one side of the story you like most is the best one for yourself, you'll never change, you'll never grow, and you'll never ever get to know just how beautiful your world can be. You simply learn to let your story go. Spend my time reflecting as I walk in others' shoes. Think I understand. Can't judge another seen through your own eyes. All you see is your own lies. Simple imperfections, cracks within the paint. We try anyway. Try as hard as you will. Hope you can say, gave it all I could today. 'Cause you can't hold somebody to account if you refuse to hold yourself. If the one side of the story you like most is the best one for yourself, you'll never change, you'll never grow, and you'll never ever get to know just how beautiful your world can be if you simply learn to let your story go. You can't hold somebody to account if you refuse to hold yourself. If the one side of the story you like most is the best one for yourself, you'll never change, you'll never grow, and you'll never ever get to know just how beautiful your world can be if you simply learn to let your story go.
Ta-da.
There we go. Memories Whisper, Let Your Story Go, or whatever the hell it's supposed to be called.
Memories Whisper, 100%.
Who cares anymore?
Your voices blend
Oh,
beautifully. It
They
sounds
really do,
really
Thank you.
good.
Don't tell him that. He'll want to sing together more often.
I'm still enough anyway. I'm happy.
So I wrote that song. It's got to be nearly 3 years ago, I reckon.
It's just when I kind of met you, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I kind of wrote songs back when I was about, I don't know, 17, 18. I just had a breakup of a girlfriend. My mum had passed away when I was 18. My nan passed away when I was like 19. So I was like, everything's shit. Life's horrible. I just want to write about stuff. And so I just wrote everything down. And of course, it never helps anything because you still feel as rubbish as you did kind of when you were writing it. But it was very cathartic just to be able to get out and say stuff. Now, you know, I'm not naturally a soppy, emotional person.
He's lying. He's lying.
I have the emotional kind of ability of a house brick, really. But for me, the ability to tell stories, the ability to get stuff out and kind of say, this is the journey I'm going on. This is where I am. So then I didn't write anything probably for a good 25 years. And then somebody started showing me poetry and I started writing little bits, and then I got into songwriting again and playing around with them. And then Memories Whisper was probably the first or maybe second song that I kind of wrote getting back into it about 3 years ago-ish.
Well, it was the first one I heard of you that you sung. It was the first song that
probably,
I heard.
Yeah. It was one of the first I definitely played out.
Because every time I ever met him at the beginning, he only really did covers. But not really, but I mean, because he was at the open mic, you only seemed, every time I came up, you were only singing a country cover.
It was always rock and roll and country covers because that's what I grew up in.
And then when he belted out Memories Whisper, I was just like, what? I'm stealing that. And then, I said, mate, I've got some more. And I was like, play them. And it was just fantastic after that.
But it's one of those songs where I'd written it with a purpose in mind.
For me to sing it with him.
No, other than that. So I'd written it because I'd wanted to say, you know, there are things that we go through in life. There are things that we do, all those kind of things. And you kind of go, you know, we always, there are those times when we think somebody else is to blame for this, somebody else is to blame for that. And you can blame the whole planet if you like. But at some point, you've got to step up and you've got to take accountability for making something new happen or changing your fortunes, if you like. Yep. So it was a song very much about that. So where it kind of sort of says you can't hold anybody to account if you don't hold yourself. You kind of go, you've got to hold yourself to account first. And that was the whole premise of the song. You've got to hold yourself to account, because you can't expect to hold anyone else to account if you're not honest with yourself. And it kind of built around that, really.
I think that that's an interesting point. I picked up on that line. I said to Victoria, obviously we were muted, so I felt okay to do that. But those two lines there, those really struck out. I think one of the things that's been difficult, obviously, there's been a lot of artists out there who have, suffered financially and found it very, very difficult over these periods. But you know, they've had to go out and just find how to do things differently, you know, maybe, you know, take on a job they wouldn't have chosen to do for the time being or things like that. And that is, I think that, you know, taking accountability for yourself is that, well, you know, okay, the money can't come in that way, you know, so we're going to have to go and do something else, you know.
And there's always an excuse waiting around the corner.
Oh, there is.
But at some point you've got to go, it's everyone's looking at me. I've got to do something myself about it, you know. So take us through, because there's a song I want to ask you to talk about.
Okay.
If you're all right.
Put me on the spot again. Here we go.
But don't do that thing you do where you cry in the middle of it, because if you're going to do that,
I only write songs where you cry.
So just take us on a journey. So talk us through. So the last two songs you did, you kind of talked a little bit about kind of the background to them. Can you talk us through some of the process that you go through? So I have quite a specific sort of style of the way I write in terms of crafting the song, the process itself. Sam has a kind of different way. So I'm very interested in what's the process you most typically, I guess, go through, if there is one.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
The fact that Victoria's already laughing means that maybe you might think about this differently.
Yeah, the typical one is it's quite interesting. It's quite fun.
I've tried to make a typical one.
Yeah,
we don't agree on that.
Well, I think it depends often. What we've been doing quite recently, and particularly Perfect Shade of Blue, for example, I've written a set of lyrics and then giving them to Victoria and said, right, where do you think this should go? And she's lived with it for a day or two and played around on the piano and come up with something. And then, sometimes we just, that's it, it's done. Rarely, but. And then we talk about it, we develop it, and sometimes it's only a verse or a chorus, and I'll just go off to have to write the rest of the verses. But other times, like Two Heart Rendezvous, I think that we wrote pretty much together.
Yeah, and every story.
And every story. Born for the Road. I started off. I had the little guitar part at the beginning, and I just thought I've got to write something on that. And I got about 2 or 3 lines in, and then we started to develop that song. So yeah, there's no set process.
No, but I like it if you come up with the lyrics and then just give it to me as a blank canvas and I can go off, and as soon as I start reading it I can hear how it should go in my head, and then you leave me free to just bash away on the piano and come up with something, and then sing it to you later in the day. And then
so do you guys kind of, for example, write little words down, little lines, and then come back to them? Do you kind of
I never finish anything.
I'm more themes. I think of a theme about something.
I just grab line. I sort of see a line or hear someone say something like that's going to be the basis of a song. But I've got nowhere to go with it usually.
It's little themes tend to get when I write melody, which is sometimes not often, but it tends to be weirdly in the shower.
This is true.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times I've come out of the shower. I just got right. I've got to sing this out. I've got to figure this out. Grab my guitar and just it only tends to be little.
Meanwhile, the window cleaner is still cleaning the windows. Yes. Would you mind getting dressed, sir? It's very off-putting. Yes.
Yeah, quite possibly. But you have that moment, and a friend of mine called Mick, who sadly is no longer with us. He used to write a lot of music, and one of the things he said to me was, one of the things I learned about, he said he'd learned about writing is if you have an idea, get it down somehow now, because it will vanish as quickly as it comes. And if you sit down and write the whole thing, terrific. But if you write a bit of it or half of it and hit an end stop, get it down somewhere and then come back to it, because I can't even think about the number of times between us we've had little thoughts and then thought, I'll come back to that, and then gone.
So how do you deal with front and back of the song? Because I do see a lot of people who chuck all the good stuff in the first verse, come up with a lovely little catchy chorus, and then they've got nothing else. And so what you find is the back end of the song becomes much more primitive and much more kind of with not quite as much thought put into it, and it's almost like they're just saying the same things over again. So how do you deal with knowing that actually you've got a great concept, but you've got to spread it out over 3 or 4 verses maybe and a chorus?
I quite enjoy that actually. I think I start to sort of visualize sort of the whole. It's like writing a movie really, and you kind of you want to see what happens at the end of the movie, because that's the bit we're all looking forward to. So I think the middle eight and the ending is actually for me possibly more important than the first half of the song in some ways, because you don't feel like you've finished everything properly.
I think every story was an interesting one, and in that came about out of 2 lines in the chorus. Gospel church without the sound of glory. It was whenever it came to, and that was a shower moment, and the rainy down a beach in California, because it's not what you expect. Whenever you think about a beach in California, you're sitting in there in the sun, probably thinking about Baywatch or something ridiculous like that. But
if it makes you feel any better, my inspiration does come when I'm in the bathroom.
There you go.
Make you feel anyway. For some reason, it just does. I sit on the toilet.
It's like
Well-
water's a conduit for.
Well, I think it's more like it's that few minutes of peace that's
I'm
guaranteed in
not
your
yapping
day.
in your ear.
It's just as well I set the parent filter on this stream, isn't it? Kids now parents going, don't listen to that, don't listen to that. That's not a thing. Yeah.
But that one thing, the chorus came out pretty rapidly, didn't it, of that song?
Yes. Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to write one of the verses about a guy that had gone into Vegas and won big, but hadn't, because I've been to Vegas quite a few times, and it doesn't happen. There's a reason why all those buildings are so big and everything is so glossy, is because you're not taking money home. So I wanted to write that into it, but that's as far as we got. But actually, the third verse, we probably wrote 4 versions of that, I think.
Yeah, well, you'd written a version, and I liked the line, but the neighbours think he's just the kid next door. But I didn't like the rest of the theme of it. And then I began to think about what neighbours what view this child next door, and what could be going on, and what they're seeing. And then it went a bit dark, the third verse, really.
It did
but
a bit,
I thought
yeah.
there's lots of children living in that kind of situation where they really become the parent in the house, and the neighbours would have no idea. They'd go about their daily business, clueless that this child next door needed help. And so, yes, I didn't mean to go quite so deep with it. But...
Well, we never set out to do that song as 3 mini stories. I don't know quite how that happened. I guess we ended up with the first 2 and thought, well, we just need a third one that's a different again, and that's how it came. But yeah. I'm with Victorian as much as I like writing a middle 8. There's a couple of our songs that don't have middle 8s, and I do like a middle 8.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? I've got songs that have got bridges in them. I've got songs which haven't got bridges. I've got a song which it almost indistinguishably has no chorus, and I think it was good enough for Bob Dylan. I could do it as well. But it feels right. So I call the song complete because it feels right. And if I tinker with it anymore, I'm in danger of overdoing it or undoing it, which is
that's why he sent it to me.
That's it. Well, and at that point, I can go. That's it. I'm not doing any more with it.
Talking about Bob Dylan, one of the acid tests for me, Sheryl Crow, when she was someone was interviewing her about songwriting. She said, "I take the Bob Dylan view because when you look at a Bob Dylan lyric, there is not a single word that's wasted."
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's kind of a bit of an acid test when we're reading back through lyrics, particularly when we're just about to commit it in like studio style. Last chance you have to really amend anything. That's one of the things we look for.
And I guess that those things, I mean, if you're writing commercial pop music, there's a whole set of rules around how to and when you listen to a lot of the songwriters, they'll often start with melody because that's the bit that's the catch, the party vibe, all that kind of stuff. When you look at country folk and things like that, it's the story, it's the words, often more so. And I guess I'm probably not talking about country pop. I'm probably talking about more traditional country folk, those kind of things. So you kind of go, the words, exactly right. If you've got 4 lines in a song, and at that point you've got to get to the next kind of link in the story, you want to make sure that not only each one of those lines is kind of value added, but also the use of the words, and sometimes leaving stuff out and implying it by using words is, it's how you then get clever about it. I talk about it like it's real estate. And I say, if that verse is a piece of real estate, you want to make sure that if you've got 4 lines of real estate, that there isn't a weak one. If there is a weak one, you then go back to it and you go, okay, I need to strengthen that real estate to make sure it's a good whole real estate.
If you go back to the Love at the Five and Dime, for example, there's 2 lines that really stick out in that song, which is married up in Abilene, lost a child in Tennessee. And they're in about, 8-10 words. You could make a book of that.
Yeah. That's like almost 2 years of a life story kind of thing.
Yeah, and you only need to hear that to understand a lot about what they were going through. Ups and downs and things like that. Just exceptional writing.
Well, and it's when you listen to The Gambler as well, that Don Schlitz wrote for Kenny Rogers. And you kind of try and understand what the story is. The amount of people that go, oh, it's about, taking on too much. It's about gambling. It's about kind of someone older kind of telling someone younger how to play the game, all that kind of stuff. And then that's my guitar. And then kind of Don Schlitz kind of says, it wasn't at all. It was me having a conversation with my dad, and how my dad always thought he knew all the answers, and how I kind of resisted it and all that kind of stuff. And then you get to this point in life where you go, actually, you know, we may find that there's distance between us, but at some point it all comes back together. And you go, it was never about a gambler or anything like that. But actually his ability to create a scene and detail sends people on any number of different journeys, but he knows the real one. You know, and that's the thing I love as well.
I'd love that sign. The I think it was Don Black that said it. He said that the more detail you put into it, the more personal you make a song, the more universal it is. And I think that's quite a lot to be said for that.
Right, I'm just conscious. So there's still a few things I want to kind of ask you and talk about. So I'm conscious I want you to get through another couple of songs, if that's okay.
Sure.
And if we end up going till midnight, we end up going till midnight. We won't be here, but you know, feel free to carry on. You know, so give us another couple of songs if you don't mind, and kind of same process. Kind of talk us through where they came from and stuff like that. And then after this, I kind of just want to be able to sort of talk a little bit about how people find you, what kind of things you've got out, and talk a little bit about social media, those sorts of things as well, before we end up kind of finishing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll ditch out and we'll leave you free to do another couple of songs.
All right.
Okay,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much. So this song, I'll introduce this one if you like. This is a song I think this might be our most recent song, actually.
Not quite, but
Well,
nearly.
not quite, yeah, but very, very close. It was written, I guess, a couple of weeks back. This is a sort of an observational song. Again, it came from the Songs and Stories weekends, and the theme was observations. So we sort of ran off and had to think about who might be, you know, we both love people watching, and who might be in a great position to do the best people watching. We came up with the idea that probably a waitress in a restaurant or a bar.
It's kind of, I took a little bit of inspiration from, there's a song I absolutely love, and if you've never heard it, do look it up. It's called Table 32 by Georgia Middleman, which is also about an observations of a waitress. But if you listen to it, listen all the way to the end.
You have to listen to the end.
There's a twist at the end that you can't see coming, and it's a beautiful song. But anyway, that's what sprung into my mind, that you see everything when you're working in a bar or in a restaurant. You keep your mouth zipped, wouldn't you, with all the things that are going on.
But we wanted to make it a bit of a happy song, didn't we? We wanted to make it sort of, you know, it might not be the greatest paying job in the world, but boy, you get to see some life. Yeah.
And we decided to go a little bit pop country with this.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Bunged a little bit of a Taylor Swift noise in it.
Never a bad thing.
You have to mess around.
This is called Waiting Tables.
Has a share of fun, has a share of boys. Now she needs a drink in a bar with lots of noise. Then she spies a target for walking ATM. Other women shake their heads and she says to hell with them.
Captain of the team, really quite the man. Girls around his feet and a trophy in his hand. Drinking with the homeboys, time to raise the roof. Jamie only holds his own when he's drinking zero proof. Come on in, take a seat, you'll be amazed by who you meet.
No, it probably ain't the life your mother planned for you.
Stop that love, watch and see.
It ain't school, but it's still a degree. It's scandalized to fill our own tip jar. Waiting tables in the local bar. Mr. and Mrs. Smith away for the weekend.
One's at a meeting, the other's seeing a friend.
Had enough champagne, had enough to eat.
Yes, from here the next stop is the hotel down the street.
Come on in, take a seat. You'll be amazed by who you meet.
Though it probably ain't the life your mama planned for you.
Stop and love, watch and see.
It ain't school, but it's still a degree. It scandalized the pillow to job.
Waiting tables at the local bar.
And the secret sorrow here to see. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Oh, come on in, take a seat. You'll be amazed by who you meet.
Though it probably ain't the life the mama planned for you.
Stop and love, watch and see.
It ain't school, but it's still a degree. It scandalized the pillow to job.
Waiting tables at the local bar. Waiting tables at the local bar.
My seat's creaking.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
It's your piano stool.
Yep.
Alrighty, so yeah, that was Waiting Tables. We wrote that a couple of weeks ago, and this last one we're going to do, it goes right the way back
I have
to.
no idea what he's going to do.
We're going to do Alice. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is our folky song. This one.
It is. It's become a favourite, and
It is, actually.
of a bunch of people who come to see us and watch us regularly, including James that we met, who can now sing it end to end, and does. And it was a story. Talk about songwriting. My niece Alice asked her mum for a guitar for Christmas a couple of years ago, and her mum phoned me and said, "How much is a good guitar?" So I told her, and instantly that was off the list. But we thought that was a bit grim, so we found her a guitar and gave it to her for Christmas, and she's learning and she's
Pink
writing.
guitar. I quite covered that guitar.
Yeah, you do,
It's
don't
very
you?
pretty.
So that started us thinking about the life of a singer-songwriter, and what if, it brought fame, it brought riches, and all those kind of things. But really, then it turns out that it's just about the music. That's why you started, and that's perhaps what you want to get back to. And I think for us, regardless of putting out records and things like that, it's still all about the music.
Yeah,
it's about that. Having a great time, hopefully entertaining people. And
the people we've met in the country music scene over the last 2 or 3 years, they're phenomenal. We've got this whole new family.
It is,
essentially,
yeah,
that we
absolutely
never knew existed, and we
Yeah.
couldn't imagine life without them now.
No.
So, if nothing else, it's done that for us.
So this is our last song, and this is called Alice. I should warn you, by the way, that the word Alice doesn't appear anywhere in the lyric.
No.
So if you get into the end listening out for it, don't worry. Just enjoy the rest of it. It's not there.
Deep in the woods in the south of this land, lived a girl with a dream who was hatching a plan. She bought a guitar and she wrote a few songs, and wherever she played, they would all sing along. She peddled her tunes round the clubs and the bars, paying for drinks on the tips in a jar. But out of the dark came a sharply dressed man with the promise of fortune and fame. Come and sing with me about the heart that I wear on my sleeve. Come and sing with me. It's the reason that I live and breathe. No matter the voice, no matter the mood, no matter who's higher or lower than you. If your soul is in need of the sun or the moon, then drop all your worries and follow my tune. Interviews, radio, stadiums play albums that sold by the thousand a day. Fan clubs and limos and photos to sign, but there in her hand was barely a dime. The lights all went down and the crowds had all gone. Back in her room with the radio on, a song from the past started filling the room, and she knew in her heart what she had to do. Come and sing with me about the heart that I wear on my sleeve. Come and sing with me. It's the reason that I live and breathe. No matter the voice, no matter the mood, no matter who's higher or lower than you, if your soul is in need of the sun or the moon, then drop all your worries and follow my shoe. So she took the bus home with just her guitar, back to the place where her people left more than just tips in a jar. Come and sing with me about the heart that I wear on my sleeve. Come and sing with me. It's the reason that I live and breathe. No matter the voice, no matter the mood, no matter who's higher or lower than you, if your soul is in need of the sun or the moon, then drop all your worries and follow my tune. If your soul is in need of the sun or the moon, then drop all your worries and follow my
Hey, nice. I meant to actually ask when we did the sound check, so I'll put my cap on because people keep moaning that Sam's got a cap on and I haven't.
I always wear
and
a
I'm
cap.
not wearing a flat cap, so this will have to do. This is from AJ's bar in Nash Vegas.
Yep.
So that completely threw me then. What was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something really enlightening and powerful. But
when we did sound check.
That's it. That's it. When we did the sound check, you did a song where you were going, "Come a little closer, come a little closer."
Yes.
So that's one of yours, yeah?
No, that wasn't that. That's Plenty Far to Fall, which we mentioned earlier on that we wrote Rendezvous. So no, that's from the Nashville show. But it's just we use that as our sound check song because we're both together straight away right at the beginning.
It's one of the louder ones we do. We're both singing and the guitar, so when we're doing sound check, it's perfect. You just bang straight into that, and you can hear everything.
That's probably where I've heard of it because I thought I've heard of that before, which is why I wanted to ask. But as it's not yours, we won't talk about it here. Okay. So do you mind? We're kind of almost at time.
Yeah.
So do you mind? Are you okay to kind of hang around to do another song? We're going to do a song, and then if you don't mind, I appreciate we've kept you for the 2 hours, so you're now off the clock. If you don't mind doing another one, that'd be great. And then I just want to kind of talk about where people find you, kind of connecting up to your YouTube and things like that. So if you're okay with that, you do have permission to say no. We have a glass of wine waiting, and therefore, we won't hold it against you. Although we'll victimize you over Facebook and stuff. So Sam's just going to do a song. Well, I was going to get him to introduce the song and just a bit of background as to how the song came about.
So this next song is called Open Stage. I had this sort of idea for a long time of an open mic scene setting. So basically what happened was a good friend of mine, Jessie Desai. If she's out there, please check her out. I'm going to plug her. I don't care. I'm sorry, Andy, right? But please check out Jessie Desai. We'll get her on at some point. I got a punch there. She's an amazing singer-songwriter from Warsaw. I first met her believing that she was 16 years old. And she came on the stage and she was this delicate little flower and her songs were really powerful, really, really powerful. And I was really down and out, and I had that idea in my head. I'm down and out, but I want to stay because she's really good. So as I say, over the years, me and Jessie become like total bezies, like me and Andy. And I wanted to write a song. She was down one day, and I said I had this recurring line that I wanted to use, that open stage. So she was down one day. I showed her. I said, I've written 2 songs, 2 lines, sorry, and 2 verses. Then she's like, "Oh, I love it. You got to finish it." It took 4 years in the end to finish this song, because of what I was afraid of was I didn't want it to become a love song. Does that make sense? It was about 2 friends, and you know, she's my bestie. So this is called Open Stage, and I'll let it speak for itself. So, and if you want to do a little bit of twiddling and whatever you do, that little magic that you do when we have a jam together, that's all happy days. So this is
Don't blame me if it goes wrong, though.
This is a song for Jessie, my bestie. And yeah, she's fabulous. Check her out. But
I helped him write this.
And Andy did help me to write the chorus, because
I hope you
because I
it.
do a lot of folk stuff. Choruses for me are non-existent. So a lot of my songs sort of tend to have words, and then I have to kind of now ask Andy, like, give me a little tweak with the chorus, and we'll go from there. So anyway, so this is co-write. I'll say a co-write. I'll say a co-write for you, mate, because I'm stealing.
If it earns you $1 million, I don't mind.
So yeah, so this is called Open Stage. So I hope you enjoy it. Well, it hit me out of nowhere when I first saw Jessie play. Those melancholy songs of hers, well, brightened up my day. 'Cause I was feeling down and out, but so glad I stayed to listen to that girl pour her heart out on the open stage. Well, the next time I saw her, she had a smile upon her face and told me she'd written a new song that she wanted to showcase. But I couldn't believe my eyes that that girl was getting unpaid for playing her songs out on the open stage. But Jessie's like a sister, she means the world to me. More than just a friend, she's my family. And wherever life may take her, wherever that may be, Jessie knows she can always depend on me. Well, I hadn't seen her for a while, so I gave her a call. Asked her if she wanted to come out and play those songs some more. So sweet and innocent, but older than her age, for playing those love songs on the open stage. Well, 3 years had gone by and we became partners in crime. And traveling up and down those roads with now a best friend of mine. But watching little Jessie go, someday she'll fly away. What I'd give for one more day to see Jessie play on the open stage. But Jessie's like a sister, she means the world to me. More than just a friend, she's my family. And wherever life may take her, wherever that may be, 'cause Jessie knows she can always depend on me. 'Cause Jessie knows she can always depend on me. Jessie knows she can always depend on me. And Jessie's going through a bit of a bad time at the moment, so hopefully that'll cheer her up. So, yeah.
Okay, so just
sorry, I had to get that in
before we gazumper. before we kind of let you go to your glasses of wine and kind of.
That's probably one of the only happy songs people I've written. Okay, probably one of the only happy songs I've written.
No, you got another one. You just don't.
I have
sing
got
it.
another one. I don't sing it yet.
Yeah. Because you try and slow everything down. I say no, speed it up. So if we can, we'll ask you to do kind of one more song, if you will. And just before you do that, because that will kind of finish our show for us. Firstly, thank you very much for agreeing to kind of get involved with this. We're hoping we'll kind of carry on the format. We're hoping technical difficulties just get lost. And as we kind of go forward with it, we would love to kind of bring you back again as our kind of audience builds and things like that as well.
Sure.
So we are thinking of doing kind of feature spots at some point as well. So we'll kind of talk to you about
this feature spot tonight.
Speecher-fot. What's a speecher-fot?
Speecher-fot. They've been absolutely fantastic. Honestly, guys, totally brilliant.
So really just to say thank you to Bob, bless him.
Yeah,
because technology-wise, he kind of goes, oh my God, this is so not me.
Yeah.
But we persevered with it. And on the sound check, he sounded great. Absolutely
He
great.
really did. He was just, I mean, I've listened to, I don't know whether you checked out Bob and some of his songs, but oh my God, his words and his playing is phenomenal.
I would. So before we get him back on, we will do a show with him where we get him back on, because he is fantastic. So where can people find you on YouTube? If you can tell people your YouTube and things like that, that would be really good.
Yeah, so we do a weekly video called The Sofa Sessions on YouTube. And in fact, this week's going to be a little bit different. We normally put it out Friday morning. If you look up youtube.com/Tennessee Twin, you'll find us there. And we do a video from our sofa every Friday morning. Actually gets recorded before that, obviously. We have other things to do on Friday morning. But this week is our 1 year anniversary. We've done this is episode 52. So we thought we'd do something a little bit special. And tomorrow we're doing a live show in the evening with the Styx most popular songs from the 52, or from the 50, because we're not going to do last week's, and we're obviously not going to do this week. So yeah, that's coming up tomorrow evening, youtube.com/Tennessee Twin, and that will go out actually on Facebook. And again, it's facebook.com/Tennessee Twin. Do pop by and give us a like on Facebook. And drop us a subscribe on YouTube. Those are probably the two main places we hang out.
Yeah.
And if you can't remember any of those URLs, just go to tennesseetwin.com and they're all down there in the bottom of the page. You'll find them all.
So actually, it's dead easy, because when you put in Tennessee Twin,
it comes up really quickly.
At the very top, there's some weird looking guy, but actually underneath that is yours.
Yeah.
So
you're second on the list.
I think when they look at it, because it's some guy, so I don't know whether he's I've missed that and he's actually in your video or something, but it doesn't look like either of you.
Yeah, we've tried to rectify that with Google actually, because some of his it comes up with a bunch of our songs. We've got an artist.
Oh, there's the Tennessee Twin, isn't there?
There's the Tennessee Twins, which is they make some very interesting records.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, be aware then, if you go on to check Tennessee Twin out, don't immediately subscribe to the top one, as you're going to get all sorts of weird
on YouTube. Yeah.
So make sure you look down. There is a picture of them on it. Yeah, that's it. There is. In fact, I think it's the one that we've used on the poster.
That's right. Yeah,
it might be that one. Do check them out. In fact, so Bob Galley, is that a link to your YouTube or Tennessee Twin? I was going to say, hopefully. So what we will do is we will post in the comments afterwards anyway about it, just so that people have got them. So if you can close down our show for us with another song, that would be absolutely fantastic. Just massive thank you to all those who have tuned in, watching this on YouTube Live and Facebook. Apologies we couldn't get Bob on.
Yeah, we will get him back.
We will get him on. And we will continue these, and it will all go swimmingly well, because I've put a lot of effort into it.
Yes, we have.
So we're going to make sure it works.
Thank you
so thank you. And playing for the last time tonight for us, Tennessee Twin. Over to you.
Well, this one is for Karen, if she's watching, because the first time we ever met Karen, we communicated a lot on email and things like that, and then we went down to Country on the Coast last year to record some sessions. One of them was for Karen, and this is the song we played for her. And when we got to the end, she was in tears, and we were kind of a bit worried that we'd done something wrong.
She doesn't like it.
But apparently she really liked it. So she always asks for this one. This is called Without You.
Your chestnut eyes shine like the sun, and your morning smile tells me I'm the one. And the way you sold me warms me to my core. I can't be without you anymore.
You know my heart better than I do, and I'll answer the call, but only 'cause it's you. This love is real. This love is raw. I can't be without you anymore. I give thanks each day for your kisses and the way you hold my hand and understand.
Here we lay in the afterglow,
And I pray to God, but still you have to go.
with tears in my eyes. I close the door. I can't be without you anymore. I can't be without you anymore.
Well, what a way to leave us with a tearjerker like that. I mean, that's.
I tried not to cry then.
You could have done that one at the start and left us with like something happy.
I thought I write sad songs. I was thinking, yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you kind of supporting us with this for our very first show. You've been absolutely fantastic.
It's been great.
Great all the way through.
Thanks for staying on as long as you have. That's been brilliant.
And I would say go and check out the Sofa Sessions as well, because they do the songs and stories stuff you were doing as well, weren't there? Are you finished that, or is that still going?
We are coming back.
Yeah, we're just having a break just for like the rest of the summer, and then we'll be back. But we are writing some original songs behind the scenes, so look out for that soon too.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing them.
So do sign up to them, do subscribe, and also if you subscribe to them as well, do them a favor and share it and tell other people as well. Because it's hard as it is these days, because people are, when you look at live streams and when you look at YouTube clips and things like that, you're 30 seconds in and it's so hard to get people to subscribe and stuff like that. So if you can, please share it and kind of support them as well. You've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again.
So we'll let you go now, and we'll let you go and grab your glasses of wine and jump in the shower to write some more songs.
Hey.
We'll give it a go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
See you soon.
Bye.
Oh wow, what an absolutely fantastic night. We had some problems, but
well,
it's the first one, isn't it?
It's live and it's streaming.
Yeah, exactly.
And the trouble bringing in multiple people with different systems, different kind of setups, it's always going to be a mess. I mean, we spent ages doing little sound checks, testing and things like that. And with Bob,
bless him,
I think he was probably kind of thinking, oh, this might be a bit technical and stuff like that, but we got it sorted. It was really good, and he sounded, for the little mic he's got that plugs into the PC, sounded beautiful.
Yeah, it was so good.
So it'll be well worth a watch when we get to kind of bring him back in.
We definitely will.
So we shall do that. In the meantime, please do, if you haven't subscribed to our page already, please subscribe to that. Share the posts around. If you know of other songwriters and that as well,
get them in touch.
Yeah, please do get in touch with us. What we are doing, because we have got a lot of people already who have shown an interest, what we're trying to do is we are trying to pick out people where we think the quality of the craftsmanship of their songwriting and storytelling is up there. And not only will people like them when they play, but also they can learn something from the experience and the process and things like that as well.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So anything else you want to say?
Yeah, just again, everybody, people that we get on, if you like them, please share them. Please go and like their pages, because it is hard. It is hard in the music industry. And just that little like and a share sometimes goes a long way to help acts get gigs, to obviously then feed themselves.
So the only other thing I was going to say, actually, which I meant to say at the start, is this. So whilst we put on this show, we're putting it on because we have a passion about songwriting and things like that. But actually, it's a show for you to listen to. It's a show for you to listen, engage with the artists, things like that as well. So if you like the format, if you like what we're doing, please tell us and let us know, because it's important feedback for us. If there are things that you would like to see more of, less of, slightly differently, then again, please do share that feedback with us, because we will listen. Because we're saying at the moment, the format of this show today might be different next time, because we might kind of do 3 acts or something, or we might just do 1 act. But what we're also trying to think about is how can we get you more engaged. So we might do things with a competition where we do competitions with CDs and stuff like that as well. So please do comment, please do let us know, and please give us feedback as well, because we'll use it to shape how the show goes. So from me, it's goodbye, and from him,
it's goodbye.
And we shall see you last Thursday of next month.
Of next month.
And we already have 1 act already set up. I'm not going to say who it is yet.
Well, I've already got somebody, so we've got 2.
Okay. So we shall put out a poster with the kind of acts on. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.